Hey, what's up everyone? In this video we're going to validate a form input using regular expression, and we're going to validate if the user has input only numbers with a optional starting or ending plus or minus sign. So basically if we type some word in here, let's say Norbert, hit enter, we're going to get a alert of please input the correct format. Also our button is going to change to red. Now if we input only numbers, correct, try another one, and we could also, let's say, have a plus sign here. It's still correct. Have a minus sign here, and this will also be correct. Okay, so that's basically it. Let's get into it. So I just created an empty folder within here. We're going to create our index.html. Let's start with the boilerplate, shift 1. I'm also going to include here materialize CSS. So let's go back to our finished project. This is materializecss.com. Click on get started, and from here I'm going to copy the CDN for the CSS. Let's go back to our project and just paste it in above our header. Let's also include a style sheet link.style.css, which you still need to create. Now the CSS within here will be just basic bare bones CSS. Okay, let's go down to our body tag. And within our body tag, we're going to create a h1 with a class of title. Within our title, we're going to type in form validation. After our title, we're going to have an h2, also with the class of title. And within here, we're going to have the text of validate all numbers plus or minus. I'm just going to paste this in here, close it up, and then we're going to have an h4 which will also have a class of title, and it's going to have the text of input integer with an optional leading plus or minus sign. Okay, now after our h4, we're going to create a form tag. Just general form tag is going to go nowhere, and we're going to, now we can create two input tags. First is going to have the type of text. Let's type in here. Also have the name of text and the ID. We don't need that ID for this one. We could just type, but what we do need is a placeholder. So let's type in a placeholder, and we're going to give this a input integer. There we go. Okay, after this input, we're going to create, after this input tag, we're going to create another input tag, and this one is going to be the type of submit, and it's going to have a class. Let me here, class of btn, and this class of btn is going to take all the specification from our materialize CSS. Now for the value, we're just going to type in here. Now for the value, we're going to delete this one, and we're going to give this the name of submit. Okay, that's basically it for this one. Let me also open this up using live server. So right click, open live with live server, and I'm going to also snap it to the right side of our code editor. So let's create our CSS file, style.css, and within here I'm just going to copy in the necessary CSS and go over it very quickly. So we're going to have a body of 700 pixels with margins auto, so it's going to be centered. Line height 2, background color, you can see this grayish color. Color of the text, a grayish text or much lighter gray. The form itself is going to have a width of 300 pixels and margins auto. The class of title that we created is going to have a text aligned to the center, margins to the bottom, to rem, and a bit of text shadow. So all of the text with the class of title will have a text shadow, as you can see right here. Okay, the h1 specifically is going to have a text transform to uppercase, and the h2 is going to have a different color. Now also created a different input type a different color for the input type of text. As you can see, if you type something in here, it's going to have this turquoise color, I believe it's called. Turquoise. I don't know. Just roll with it. Okay, so that's it for our CSS. Oh yeah, and the class of btn also has a width of 100%. So let's go now to HTML and include our script tag. Our script, and let's call this main.js. Doesn't matter what we call it. Okay, let's also create a JavaScript script tag. So main.js, a tag file. Let's close this one up and let's get started by first of all creating a const, a variable with the name of const. Let's call it input. Let's assign it from the document query selector. So we're going to select the input tag with the type. As you know, we can select also types with the type of text, and this should be within quotations of text. Okay, let's close this one up. Now we create another const which will name submit btn. Okay, we're going to assign this one to the document query selector again, and we're going to select the input, this one, with a different type of submit. Let me just quickly go back. Type submit. Yep, that's it. Okay. Let's also check if we selected everything correctly. Console log, and we're going to log. Let's just open up our console. So right on our page, F12. Let's zoom this in a bit. So let's see, console log input, and also submit btn. So comma submit btn, and we got both of them. Okay, there we go. Now let's create an event listener for the submit button. So when we're going to click on this button, let's click around to the button. Let's add, so dot add event listener, and we're going to listen for a click. Now when this click happens, we're going to validate. We're going to launch a function which we're going to call all numbers plus minus. All numbers plus minus. Okay, let's also create this. Let's also create this function. All numbers. Let's go down here, use the function keyword, and call upon all numbers plus minus, opening close parentheses, opening close curly brackets. And let's first of all prevent the default behavior of our form, which is going to try to submit. So we're going to pass in here an argument of event, so just call it e dot prevent default. Okay, let's open and close this one up. Now let's go down here and console log first of all our type. Let's console log our input. Just grab onto our input, paste it in here, and if I click on submit, it's going to grab onto our input. But we don't want our input, we want the value that we're typing in here. Okay, so let me show you something very quickly. We're going to type in here value. So input dot value. So if I'm console logging now, what I'm typing in here is going to exactly type. It's going to print out what I exactly typed in. If I type in numbers, it's going to print out numbers. Or is it? Because if I check this input's type of input value, let's hit save. Let's see if I type in whatever, it's going to give me a string. If I type in some numbers, it's going to also give me a string. And if I refresh here the console, let's type in some numbers, submit string. So we could change this to numbers, but we don't want that. We want to validate this input form using regular expressions. So first of all, let's create a regular expression. Let's call it let numbers, and we're going to assign this to a regular expression. So 2 times / start with the caret. So this means it needs to start, or it could start with a minus or a plus sign. Then it needs to start, or it needs to have numbers from 0 to 9. And let's also close it out, plus $, and that's basically it for our regular expression. Now we need to match whatever we type in here needs to match to this regular expression of numbers. So let's create an if statement which is going to check if the input dot value dot matches, so match the regular expression of numbers. Now if it does match, then we're going to alert, and just alert correct. And correct is typed with 2 R's. Okay, exclamation mark. If it does not match, then we're going to alert no match. Also exclamation mark. It was getting angry, no match. So let's see. If I type in here, let's type in my name, Norbert, hit submit, it's going to give me no match. You can see it's string, okay? Now if I type in here, let's hit an enter. If I type in here a number now, some kind of number, click on submit, we got correct, although we still are getting a string, but it's matching this to our regular expression. Now if I also type in a plus sign, let's see now, correct. If I type in a minus sign, should also give me correct. If I type in a division mark, then no match. So it could have a plus or minus sign. It must be a number, it must be numbers, and it cannot be anything else. Okay? And let's also make this prettier by, I'm just going to copy in a couple of things, I'm going to explain that to you. So if the submit button, so if the value matches, then we're going to grab onto the submit button, we're going to change its value to match. So you do remember we had here the name of submit. Now with this, it's going to change to match. Let me also show you this. So look at this submit. If it's correct, it's going to change. Did I hit save? No, I did not hit save. Let's type in some kind of number, correct, and match. Okay, let's also change its color to green. Now we are going to use the colors from material CSS. So we could just take submit button and we're going to change its class by using toggle to another class of green. Now this basically means if this matches, we are also going to grab a green class. Now I also want to empty the field, and for this we're just going to grab onto our where are you? Input.value, and we're going to assign it to a empty string. So basically, if it's correct, it's going to clear itself out. Now if it's not correct, I'm just going to change the class to red, and also going to change the value down here to try again. And that's it. So if it does not match, no match. Then we're going to have try again. If it matches, your try again is correct, and we get match. Okay, so that's basically it for the project. Hope you enjoyed it, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.